All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers. And peace and blessing and salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing this word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds. In the name of Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers and listeners who may have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. All right, and what I want to get into today, all right, is inspired by a YouTube short put up by the brother Yaquab, all right, the Hopeful Elect 3, okay, which that brother, he posts a lot of different shorts and, the happiness, on this channel, all right, which is the Hopeful Elect 3, informative channel, keep you in the loop of, certain things, the social climate, people's reactions, to particular things, all right, and what we're seeing happen in real time is the Lord is transforming, okay, this democracy, this so-called democracy, to a dictatorship. Okay, so the Lord is using the elites, okay, by way of the elites. The Lord is turning, okay, this so-called democracy, okay, which has, particular perks and freedoms and rights, okay, and those things are being diminished, and this thing is turning, this rulership is being turned, okay, this government is being turned into a dictatorship, okay, and Trump is the perfect character, to get the trust of the people, while, all right, the democracy that they know, that they, come, to be in love with, the so-called power of the people is being dismantled and the dictatorship is being established. Okay, and this dictatorship, okay, is going to be the bridge to this NWO, all right, this technocracy. Okay, so we're in heavy times, man. We're in beautiful times, man, because we know these things must happen before, okay, the end. All right, when we read in prophecy Isaiah 19:4, and then we'll get to the video. It says, I will hand Egypt, which is America, over to a hard, cruel master, man. And there's no doubt that this is Trump. All right, and Trump is the perfect character, man. And this devil, okay, which we know he's a do-boy for the elites and the Zionists and the technocrats, okay, but he has a fierce countenance, man. You can tell that this devil has a lot of hatred in him, man, and he don't give a damn, okay, and he's the perfect puppet, okay, to bring in this dictatorship, okay, and he's looked at as this strong leader that the people trust. And behind, this character, they're dismantling democracy, okay, and building up a dictatorship, okay. So it says, I will hand Egypt over to a hard, cruel master. A fierce king will rule them, says the Lord Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, the Lord of heaven's armies. Okay, so this is what we're witnessing happen, man. As the deportation started with, the northern tribes, and now they're making their way to the southern kingdom, and eventually it's going to make their way to, all right, you Edomites as well. Okay, you Edomites are not safe. Okay, because everyone, here it is. It's like a big, football arena. Okay, you have your different sections in this arena, and they're all cheering for Trump. Okay, but then Trump turns and attacks a section of the arena, and the rest of the arena is still cheering him on while he attacks this one section. Then he moves to another section, and the rest of the arena is still cheering while he's attacking the next section. Then he attacks another section, and then the rest of the arena is still cheering, but you're not picking up that eventually you're going to be the section that's attacked. Okay, this is what people are not picking up. Okay, pretty soon you're, all right, going to be in the crosshairs, okay, of this dictatorship that's emerging, okay, in the earth, man. Okay, so let's go from there. Let's get this video. Let this video play. You're gonna make a few points. And this Jake, he's just summing up what's going on. All right, and a lot of people, and you can tell these people are not comforted, but they realize what's going on, man. And that's the benefit of having a comforter is we know these things. We're comforted by all the news. What seems like bad news, well, we're comforted by it, okay? Because we have the comforter, which is the understanding of what's to come. Okay, we fully understand how this plays out, man. You know, but just to know these things without no understanding, without the comforter, man, all right, can be very troubling, man. Okay, so this guy's gonna go into a few things. You know, he's just gonna go on a rant. All right, and we'll address it. Okay, in the scriptures. Okay.
We are creating concentration camps in different states throughout this country. We are shackling people in chains and putting them in military cargo planes. We have people who are showing up unalive on shores, shackled in just various parts of the world. We have armed people in regular clothes and masks that just simply have ICE agents kind of stamped on their military paraphernalia, literally just snatching people left and right. No paperwork, no nothing, just literally apprehending people and shuffling them away. And we have people dying in federal custody. We have the legislative branch acting like they are completely oblivious to anything that the executive branch chooses to do. We have a piece of legislation that for God's sake, it's called the Big Beautiful Bill. And that bill is nothing but death on paper. It's just death on paper. I just heard that the President of the United States is now launching a perfume, 45 and 47. The Supreme Court is undermining the U.S. Constitution at every single step, enabling the executive, the Article 2 power of the United States. The executive branch is able to go against schools, against private entities, against law firms, against any organization that they just choose to want to go against is now open game. You have an absolutely rogue DOJ. You have an absolutely rogue executive. We have an absolutely rogue Congress. We have a president who is acting on behalf of another nation and attacking a different nation with U.S. military force. I don't even know how to end this, because if you just stopped and wrote everything down, this video would be fucking 4 hours long. I mean, everything is just continuing to degrade. It is functioning, but it is degrading. And I don't know where that stops at.
Yeah, we do know where to stop at. Okay? With the Lord intervening and putting a stop to all this madness, man. Okay? Going back to the comforter, because we know where it stops at. Okay? But just touch on some points, because, you know, as you know, all right, you have in the government, the legislative, okay, you have the judicial, then you have the executive, okay, and these three branches are supposed to be check and balances. All right, they're supposed to check and balance each other so neither one gets too powerful. Okay, similar setup in Rome. All right, but what you have now, okay, is the power is going from the judicial and legislative to the executive. Okay, which is the branch of the president. Okay, and that's why you have this term executive order become so popular. Okay, in these last few years, because the majority of the changes that we see in society have come from executive orders. Okay, so these, all right, what we're seeing now, you know, is the power is being transferred to the executive branch. Okay, to Trump. All right, and Trump is a puppet for who? The elites. Okay, and the Zionists, man, and the technocrats. Okay, so all the power is being pulled to the Zionists, the elites, and the technocrats, man. Okay, now, just a quick AI overview said democracies can transition into dictatorships through various means, including military coups, self-coups, all right, where elected leaders consolidate power or through a gradual erosion of democratic institutions, elected autocrats may also undermine democracy from within by manipulating elections, suppressing dissent, and weakening checks and balance. And this is what he was describing, man. So what we're seeing is democracy, all right, transition to dictatorship. Okay, two horns like a lamb, and now he's finna speak like a dragon in this dictatorship, man, this draconian law. Okay, and I want to go here. Okay, it says this is self-coup. It says in a self-coup, an elected leader, all right, such as Trump, uses their power to dismantle democratic institutions and establish a dictatorship. Okay, and he's doing this all under the banner as a strong leader. He's going to go into that as well. Okay, it says a self-coup can be more suitable than a military coup, as it may involve using legal means to undermine democratic norms, man. And the way that this man governments work, is so complicated. Okay, he got so much madness. It is meant to be confusion, so no one can really pinpoint what's going on. All right, so these devils are able to undermine and write legislations and do particular things, and you don't know what it means until you getting hit upside your head, until you want on one of these death flights. Okay, you see, it says incremental erosion of democracy. It said this is more a gradual process where democratic norms and institutions are slowly dismantled. Elected leaders may manipulate elections, all right, suppress dissent, weaken the judiciary, all right, and restrict the media. Doesn't that sound familiar? Council culture, okay, getting strikes. Okay, this is all the making of a dictatorship. All right, and these things have gradually became normal. Okay, these things have gradually became the norm. Well, from freedom of speech to now it's censorship. Okay, heavy censorship. You see, he says these actions may be portrayed as necessary for stability of combating corruption. Okay, conspiracy theories, misinformation. We're battling fake news and misinformation, and people can be harmed by misinformation, and they're the number one source of misinformation to these devils, man. Okay, globally. Okay, it says making it difficult for citizens to recognize the shift towards authoritarianism. Okay, no one is seeing the shift. Okay, people think that the government is acting on behalf of their safety, okay, their well-being, but this is gradually becoming a dictatorship. Okay, it said, for example, a government might use its control over the judiciary to target political opponents, or use its control of the media to spread propaganda while maintaining a facade of democracy, man. And I want to go into this one, crisis and fears. It says major crisis, which we speak about, these false events. Okay, it could be underway, these different hoaxes, these different psyops. Okay, they use these things to do what, man? Gain more control over the people. Okay, and it says major crises such as economic downturns or security threats can create an environment where citizens are more willing to accept authoritarian measures. It says people may fear that democratic institutions are not capable of handling the crisis and look to strong leaders, all right, and look to strong leaders for solutions. And that's why it was meant for Joe Biden and his cabinet, the Democrats, to look so weak and incapable, so Trump can be looked at as this capable leader. He just need more power, so he can be looked at as he's capable. He's a strong leader. He just need more power and authority to do what needs to be done. Okay, to bring clarity and safety and security. Okay, to stabilize. All right, this chaos caused by the Democrats. Okay, and it's all nothing but song and dance, and it's dancing right to a dictatorship, which is dancing right to Jacob's trouble, all right, in the worst time since the earth has ever been. Okay, it says this can create an opportunity for authoritarian leaders to consolidate power by exploiting public fear and anxiety. By exploiting public fear and anxiety, man, because when people are in fear, their rational thinking leaves them, and they act in desperation. They go into survival mode. Okay, and this is why the devil is going to bring on, all right, the worst time ever. The Lord's going to allow this man to bring about the worst time ever, okay, for more control, all right, because the masses are going to be taken by this man, okay. This is Matthew 24 and 21. He said, "For then shall there be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be." So we're coming into the worst time ever. Okay, this tribulation, all right, the stage is set. You know, he said you got death flights, all right, you got concentration camps being created throughout the nation. Okay, you have civil unrest. You know, people are divided more than ever. Plus, this is the most armed country in the world. Okay, you have people pretending to be federal agents and just snatching people. Okay, you have all these things going on at the same time and much more. Okay, you still have mercenaries that that haven't been turned loose yet. You know, real plagues is going to happen, real pestilence is going to happen. Okay, so you have all these things, going on. All right, real time. Okay, you have all these things happening. Okay, and it's just a gumbo. Okay, for chaos, man. You see, all the ingredients for the worst time ever have been put into the pot. Okay, everything that the Lord promised, okay, concerning tribulation, well, all the ingredients, okay, are in place, man. Okay, and this is why we know we're here. You know, we're at the door. Okay, so let's go here. Cause he made the point of towards the end. All right, he spoke about. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to get. He spoke on. He said it's functioning, but it's degrading. Okay, and that's prophecy, man. He said it's functioning, but it's degrading, because people think the world function. They confuse it with everything gonna be okay. Okay, but that's not the case. Second Ezra 16:21. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. So people think just because society is functioning, just because last month, this month was like last month, your same routine. Okay, this week was like last week. Today was like yesterday. Well, people think, okay, that they're in a good case. It can't be as bad as what's being said, what's being told, what's being reported. It can't be that bad because I'm having a normal day as I've been having. Okay, and that's the illusion, all right, that people are under. Okay, and it says, "Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth that they shall think themselves to be in a good case, and even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion," man. So all these things are growing, all these things are being put in place, okay, to happen in a moment. While people think that, this is gonna be, it's not. People think it's not as bad as they say it is. People think like, okay, I can see another 20 years, 30 years. They planning and, having their mindset on normalcy. Okay, not understanding that all the ingredients for chaos is in the pot. Okay, and these things are being stirred up, man. All right, and when these things hit, it's gonna hit in a moment. Okay, that's why it says, verse 22, "For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall, all right, perish of famine." That there's gonna be a cutoff. People not gonna have access to food like they have, man. This abundance of food that people have now. Okay, with America being the most wasteful country in the world, where they where they dispose of 40% of their food. Okay. It says, and the other that escaped the hunger shall the sword destroy, man. It's gonna be very violent, man. Okay, and that's gonna be all the way from, gun violence, to the missile, man. Okay, so we're seeing, democracy turn into a dictatorship, and this thing is gonna get way worse. Okay, before the Lord, all right, intervenes. Okay, because going back to Matthew real quick, let's finish that in Matthew 24. All right, Matthew 24 and 22, and it says, and except those days be shortened, there shall no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake those days shall be shortened. Okay, so the Lord is wrapping this thing up, man. Time is moving quicker. All right, so the Lord is bringing on this tribulation, okay, and this chaos. All right, but He's going to put an end to it. Okay, when Yahushua comes back and puts this devil down once and for good, man, once and for all. Okay, and that's what we're comforted by when we hear these things, man. So Lord will, you brothers and you sisters, edify till next time I say shalom.